This is page 25, completing the square, number 13. Now the problem is x squared plus 6x equals 7. The first thing that we need to do is to divide the 6 by 2, and we're going to get 3. We're going to use 3 squared to complete the square. X squared plus 6x plus 3 squared equals 7 plus 3 squared. Remember, if we do it to the left side, we also need to do it to the right side. Then I can write this as x plus 3 squared equals 7, and then 3 squared is 9, which would give me x plus 3 squared equals 16. I'm going to take the square root of both sides, which is going to give me a positive 4 and a negative 4. I set them equal to x plus 3. If I subtract 3, I get a x equals 1. And if I subtract 3 over here, I have a negative 7. Okay, now let's look at number 14. And the problem reads x squared minus 2x equals 15. The first thing I need to do is to divide my 2 by 2, which is going to give me 1. X squared minus 2x plus 1 squared equals 15 plus 1 squared. Now be careful because there's a minus sign here. And instead of x plus 1 squared, it's going to be x minus 1 squared. Equals 15 plus 1, which is 16. I'm going to take the square root, leaving me with x minus 1 equals 4. X minus 1 equals a negative 4. If I move my 1 over, that's going to give me x equals 5. Move my 1 over, x equals a negative 3. Okay, this is number 15. X squared minus 14x plus 30 equals 6. Well, the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to move the 30 to the other side. So I do that by subtracting 30, which will give me x squared minus 14x equals a negative 24. Now it's in the format I need to complete the square. I'm going to divide the 14 by 2, which gives me 7. Then I'm going to write x squared minus 14x plus 7 squared equals a negative 24 plus 7 squared. Now be careful again, we have a minus, so it's going to be x minus 7 squared equals negative 24 plus 7 squared is 49. If I have negative 24 plus 49 will give me 25. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Then that's going to give me x minus 7 equals 5. If I move my 7 over, it becomes positive, which gives me a 12. Move my 7 over, it becomes positive, which will give me a 2. This is number 16. X squared plus 12x plus 21 equals 10. First thing I need to do is move the 21. So I'm going to do a negative 21, which gives me x squared plus 12x equals a negative 11. Now it's in the proper format to complete the square. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. X squared plus 12x plus 6 squared equals a negative 11 plus 6 squared. It's not negative or minus this time, so it's just x plus 6 squared equals a negative 11. 6 squared is 36. That will give me 25. Square both sides. X plus 5 equals 5. X plus 6 equals a negative 5. Because remember, the square roots gives me a positive and a negative answer. Alright, then I move my 6 over, which will be a negative 6, giving me a negative 1. Move the plus 6 over, make it a negative 6, becomes a negative 11. Okay, this is number 17. X squared minus 4x plus 1 equals 0. We need to move our 1 over, so we're going to make it a negative 1. Leaving us with x squared minus 4x equals a negative 1. I'm going to divide the 4 in half, which would give me 2 squared. I have to add it to both sides. X plus 2 squares equals a negative 1 plus 4. Now this is not going to be a nice, even, pretty answer here, because we're going to have the square root of x plus 2 squared equals the square root of 3. And we know that 3 is not a perfect square, so you can use your calculator if you need to, which will get you to these decimal answers. So I said x plus 2 equals to a positive square root of 3, and x plus 2 equals a negative square root of 3. Because remember, square roots have a negative and a positive answer. Move your plus 2 over, making it a minus 2. So you would put that in your calculator, and they ask us to round it to the nearest tenth. Okay, so if you round to the hundreds or the thousands, you may not get the same answer as the answer key. So make sure to round to the tenth, which is the one right after. And remember, if it's a 6 or 7 or 8, round up or round down, whatever the number says to do. Which is going to give you an x is approximately equal to 3.7, and x is approximately equal to 0.3 or 3/10.